Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War video. In tonight's video, we're going to be going over the best overall class setup with 8 attachments for this GROZA assault rifle, which is one of the 2 new weapons introduced into this game for Season 1. This is a DLC weapon, I guess you could say, or a weapon you can get from the Battle Pass, and this is a pretty good weapon in this game as far as an assault rifle. The MAC-10 I did a class setup for yesterday, which that weapon is really fun and really good up close as far as an SMG goes, and the GROZA is pretty solid in this game as well. We're going to talk about the overall best class setup and just my thoughts on the weapons. If you guys could drop a like on this video, smack that like button. Let's go ahead and go for 132 likes. If we can hit that, that would be amazing. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and not already subscribed, and let's go ahead and get right into it. So I'll show that class setup up on the screen right now, and as you can see with the GROZA, personally I like to run 8 attachments across the board with this weapon for a couple things, but the main reason I guess you could say would be because that I really don't like the default sights of this weapon, which means I like to run it with some sort of a red dot sight or some sort of an optic, and for that reason when I'm running the optic, and then I only get 4 other attachments, which doesn't really do the weapon justice. So I'd rather have just the full 8 and then, you know, sacrifice by only having 3 perks, but that's the overall class up. So you can see here GROZA got Gallo SA-12 as far as the secondary, the stim shot, the frag grenade, and the field mic, pretty standard stuff there, and then flak jacket, scavenger, and ninja. But the thing to remember about a perk setup is that with this game you can adjust your class setups mid-game, so you can switch up your class setup if you are having trouble. But starting off with those 3 perks I think is very good. Flak jacket, just because dying to situations where you can't really even fight back because it's just a grenade, or you didn't really even lose a gunfight, you just got randomly grenaded or something like that, is very annoying. Scavenger, because you don't want to run out of ammo. However, on certain maps where you don't need scavenger because you might be able to pick up other people's, or not other people's weapons, but you can do that on every map, but pick up more of those little crates where you can get ammo, then maybe you don't want to use scavenger, or if you're not planning on going on big streaks or anything like that. And then ninja as far as perk 3, which I think is just the go-to, especially if you play with a headset. You'll know how important ninja is, and even if you play without a headset, if you're playing against other people that have headsets, you'll also know how just important ninja is. So that's what I like to run as far as the class setup. Now let's go through and talk about each and every single one of these 8 attachments and what I like to run. So first, like I said, with an optic, now the mill stop reflex is nice because you can slap that on right as soon as you hit rank, or whatever it is, the earliest level on that to unlock it. But I like overall the microflex LED, and that is, I don't know if it's just with like my feelings of this weapon or something like that, but I feel like this weapon, especially with those default sights, it feels like it zooms in quite a bit. And even when you're rocking with the mill stop reflex, which has, I believe it's like a 1.37 times magnification or whatever it's called, that's pretty good, and I do like that on more of a bigger map. But when using it on a smaller map like Nuketown, I definitely go with the microflex LED. And even, I guess you could say, if you're on a bigger map, even going with the microflex LED would be fine, because this is a weapon that it's not really for the longest of long ranges. I feel like this is more of a mid-range weapon, something you want to keep at mid-range. And as far as recoil with this thing, I mean, the recoil is mainly a bounce sort of vertical recoil, similar to somewhat like the AK. We don't want to say direct comparison to that, but just with that bounce recoil pattern I've seen across a lot of Call of Duties with the AK. But I like the microflex LED, but once again, this one's really up to your personal preference. Next, I go with the KGB Eliminator, which is very nice. 85% on the muzzle flash concealment and 17% on vertical recoil control, which is one of the more important stats in this game, because a lot of the weapons, I mean, these weapons are designed to have barely any recoil on the majority of class setups, but when you do have trouble with recoil, it's definitely the majority of the time going to be vertical recoil, where your counter is to add attachments that can help out with that, such as the KGB Eliminator. Very important for dealing with the recoil, and also helps with the muzzle flash concealment, which just makes it a little bit easier to hit shots as well. And then pulling down on that right thumbstick to control that recoil as it's shooting up, which is very important as well on the other new DLC weapon, or Battle Pass weapon for Season 1, the MAC-10. Next attachment is going to be with the barrel. Now, what's interesting to this is the longest barrel, in my opinion, is still the best with this one, which is the 16.7 VDV Reinforced. However, for the most part, the longest barrel is the last unlocked. On this one, it's more in the middle of your unlocks, so you don't actually have to grind this weapon out to the full max before you have a really good barrel. And this gives you 100% effective damage range, which is very important. 40% bullet velocity, once again, very important on more of like a mid-range AR, or just on really anything for winning gunfights. Bullet velocity is a pretty important stat. And then you lose a bit of sprinting movement speed and aim walking movement speed, which does suck losing that aim walking movement speed. However, there's a lot of other attachments we'll have that will add more aim walking movement speed. You'll see later in this class setup. So that's what I like as far as that barrel, 16.7. Next is the KGB Target Designator, 60% reveal distance on the ADS. This is pretty helpful as far as like with this slot, it's more of just, do you want to go with something that helps you with scouting enemies with a reveal distance, or with helping with your hip fire? This is not a weapon you want to really be shooting people with at hip fire range. Well, at hip fire range would be, I guess, okay, but you want to be aiming down sights if you can. Hip fire isn't the most reliable on on an AR, or especially on like this weapon. I don't find that it's that reliable, and maybe it's also because I designed my class up like with my last attachment. You'll see I just lose like 30% hip fire accuracy, but I don't think that hip fire is that good in this game. And I also, it might just be my opinion because I don't value it very high on my class ups, but that's because you want to be aiming down sights and in the large majority of your gunfights. So 60% of the reveal distance I think is nice, helps you spot a few players, especially like if you're playing Nuketown. When I notice it the most is maybe when they're at a distance or when they're up in the house, and you can just get that quick reveal on them on your screen, so you know the enemy's up there, and you can sort of duck and weave through the mid lane and get to your spots. Next is going to be the Infiltrator Grip. The Infiltrator Grip gives you 5% on movement speed, 5% on aim walking movement speed, and 5% on shooting movement speed or shooting move speed, which is all very helpful. I mean, this is not the most important slot, but when you have 8 attachments, you get one for every single slot, and this is just a little bit of a boost. It's definitely a luxury attachment. It's not something that you really would have to go with, and on a 5 attachment setup, I would say scrap this one, most likely. And but yeah, definitely a nice luxury attachment to have. Next is the 50 round fast mag, which I think is very important on pretty much every class setup. I like to go with the bottom round on the magazine, which costs you ADS time, but it's more like, a weapon like this, the ADS time is not that major, because you want to be ready for your gunfights, or sort of at that mid-range like I've talked about. And even on like every weapon, even on SMGs where it is major, I still go with the last magazine, because on those weapons where your ADS time is going to be important, those are also going to be weapons where your reload time is going to be important, because you're going to be facing up close ranges or mid ranges with a lot of enemies. So last magazine, 50 round fast mag, very, very nice on this weapon. And of course, as you go through those ranks, just move up on the magazines as you please. And definitely a lot of weapons, when you first have them at those low ranks, it's annoying, but then once you unlock a few ranks into the magazines, you get some pretty good options, and the last one I think is the best option. Next is with the GRU Elastic Wrap. This is another one that's really, really nice. It gives you the 30% on the ADS time. You do lose sprint to fire time and shooting move speed, which is kind of costly, but getting the flinch resistance, which isn't that important, and the aim while going prone, which isn't that important. I mean, honestly, this attachment is not the greatest or most required, but I do like this one better than the other options in the slot, which there are some good other options, but any one of the options where it's like, okay, you're kind of costing yourself anyway, you might as well go all in and not just go with get the ADS sight time. You might as well throw in the flinch resistance and the aim while going prone for what it costs you on the negative side. However, those two really aren't the most important things to have in this game. Flinch resistance helps you out a little bit, and aim while going prone, well, pretty much, I mean, I don't think I played with this weapon, a lot today, and I don't think I even did one kill where I was drop shotting, or maybe one, but I doubt it. Most of the time you're going to be, crouched, jumping, or standing up when you're taking on gunfights. That's just the way this game works, and if you are prone, you're already going to be like prone waiting for the enemy for the most part. And the last attachment is going to be the KGB pad, which, like I said, sprint to fire time and aim walking movement speed. We have some ones that are going to make up on your aim walking movement speed. This is the one that costs you 30% on the hip fire accuracy, but makes this weapon really, really good. And this is the last unlocked one, which is just pretty, it's pretty obvious why you'd want this one. 30% for sprint to fire time and 40% aim walking movement speed. Why would you not pick this? For 30% hip fire accuracy, that's an easy attachment to slap on. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Drop a like if you guys did. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you on the next one, and I'm out. Peace.